Welcome back to Fox 10 News at 4. Local leaders are coming together, working with families impacted by trauma. All of this in hopes of offsetting potential future incidents that stem from the effects of traumatic situations like domestic violence, violent crimes, and death. Those kind of events can really alter a person's outlook and potentially lead them down the wrong path. So Mobile Police, the University of South Alabama, Mobile County Public Schools, and also the Health Department, they're all teaming up to help the city offer support to people impacted by trauma. It's an initiative called Project Thrive. Today we have Curtis Graves with MPD. Joining us in the studio, Dr. Candace Selwyn from Women's Mental Health and Trauma Services, and Andy Gatewood, the Director of School Security for Mobile. I thank you guys for coming by to explain the resources available. I'm guessing that the need is real.
The need is extremely real, and we hope that by engaging the public in whatever form we may be able to engage them, that we start the campaign of talking about trauma and what trauma looks like, and start directing people to services that are already out in the community for them. So.
And talking about the kinds of trauma that people, survive, we touched on a few of them, but can you elaborate on that for us, Doctor?
Absolutely. So when we talk about trauma, we're talking about an event, a series of events, or even a set of circumstances that is experienced as physically or emotionally harmful, and that goes on to have negative outcomes for that person's health and well-being. So that can be something they experience directly, something they witness, or even learning of something happening to their loved ones.
And sometimes it's not direct that they realize that it's affecting them adversely, yes?
Yes, which is one of the reasons that we hope to get the word out about what trauma is and what that looks like.
And Mr. Gatewood, you talk about the schools and involvement in this. Absolutely.
As a school system, we are interested, of course, in a well-rounded student who has no obstacles to learning. And it starts with a lot of times investigating and discovering things that impede the learning process. And many times it is some type of trauma. So this will not only allow us to help the individual student, but to help the families. And through all these agencies working together, we can improve the students' educational experience, make them well-rounded and productive citizens when they graduate from high school.
So when we're talking about potential people who could benefit from these services, what's the age group we're looking at, and how do they know where to find you?
Well, there is no age limit. Trauma affects everyone, young and old, and our goal is to create the awareness by making sure that people know that it shouldn't be normalized. We should actually start to talk about those things that affect us and start looking for solutions to change and to move forward in our lives.
And I know that's a subject that you wholeheartedly agree with.
Absolutely. And one of the ways that we're starting Project Thrive is by holding these community meetings where we can go in and talk to people in their communities about what problems are you facing, what needs do you have that aren't being fulfilled, and then how can Project Thrive help?
What are you seeing more of? Is there such a thing that, one kind of trauma is more popular, dare I say it, compared to others? Well,
from a law enforcement perspective, we see assaults of some type, whether it be gun violence or whether it be some other form of physical violence, to be the most impactful form of trauma. And there are others, but from a law enforcement perspective, we want to figure out ways that we can actually create prevention and intervention programs to address those things on the front end, so that we don't find ourselves oftentimes trying to deal with it on the back end of law enforcement.
I like the name because we're all thriving, right? Or at least we hope to be. How did we come up with that name?
When we put our heads together and we came up with trauma, healing, resiliency in the wake of violent events.
I see. Okay, that's good. So obviously you hope to get more volunteers and businesses, I would guess, on board too, to help support this initiative. And we have. We've gotten with a number of different agencies, and we continue to connect with other agencies, profit and nonprofit agencies. But we felt like it was extremely important to identify those primary pillars in our community, our primary stakeholders, which are our state and local agencies that are currently out there, like our nonprofits who are working, but to allow those agencies to be our foundation, so that when we don't have funding to assist in these things that oftentimes require funding, that these agencies will be able to maintain
the sustainability of those services.
All right, well, we are out of time. I thank you all for coming in to share some light on this, and we'll have more information posted on foxntv.com so you can share it with someone you know. Thanks again, guys.